Welcome back to Living with a Classic, another episode of Daily Driving at Classic Weekly. But today we're not out in one of my daily drivers. We're not doing driving in this video actually. However, we will have a look at pretty much every single car on the channel and a couple of extra ones as well. I got a request on the comments in the previous video. A subscriber wanted me to just have a look at some of the different cars on the channel, pretty much all of them. Talk a little briefly about them, a timeline of what's going to happen and what you can expect here in the spring on Living with a Classic. I thought that was a great idea. We haven't really done an update in a while. Also thought I could show some of the other cars I'm working on which don't always get featured on videos, because I do some things as well that are not featured on video. Also, the timing was really good because I picked up a new camera specifically for the Daily Driving Classic Weekly videos. This little DJI Osmo Action. I wanted to get one for a long time, but just a couple of days ago I saw it was on sale on Amazon. I couldn't resist, so I ordered one right away. And I know a couple of YouTubers have them. They seem to be really good with sort of motion things because they have really good image stabilization. When I shoot some of my big videos, just working in the workshop, and I call them sort of longer content, I shoot them on the Sony DSLR, which I'm shooting on right now. And I've done the Daily Driving Classic really on my phone, just because that camera's too big to just have with me all the time. But I thought that small little camera like this, they have really good battery life, would be perfect just to have in the glove box in the car, because I'll have it with me pretty much all the time, just like my phone. Get a little better quality and hopefully a little better image stabilization when I'm driving along and talking and shooting things outside the car. So I thought I will switch over to this camera now. We'll try it out, go and have a look at all the cars, and come up with some updates and some timelines so you can know what's going to happen here in the future on Living with a Classic. It's still pretty cold outside, but the sun has decided to show itself, so I open up the door here, get some extra sunlight into the workshop. And you may recognize that number plate in that car. That is my previous daily driver. I drove that for about 6 months. I bought it pretty early in the history of this channel. I believe I had the channel for about 6 months or so. I picked up this car and fixed a couple things on it, drove it for 6 months, had absolutely no issues with it. It's pretty much the most reliable car I've ever owned. It's a really nice 1999 S-type with the 3-liter V6. Just an excellent car, absolutely no rust, no nothing. It's in really good shape for its age. It's very nice side as well. I think it's unlocked. It's just a very nice car. So I sold it to a friend of the channel who watched the videos. I knew he had a couple S-types. Hadn't had one for a couple of years. I think the last one got totaled or something like that. Not exactly sure what happened to it, and just didn't have one for years. So I contacted him when I was thinking of selling it, and he came and had a look at it right the next day. Was very happy with it and bought it right away. However, we made up a deal that he could store it at my house during the winter because he's only used it for the summer. So it's really become more of a collector car now. He just uses it on nice trips in the summer, really enjoys it. And before he's picking it up now in a couple of weeks, we decided to go through a couple things. He's asked me to service the transmission, which I have just finished. And we said while we have it up in the air, let's change the fluid in the rear end as well. And we're also doing just a brake fluid flush. Did an oil change on it pretty recently, so that is still nice and good. So after all of this car should be ready to be on the road. He said sometime in the middle of March he is planning another little family outing or something and wants to use this car. So just a brief look at it. If you want to see some previous videos on work done to this car, I do have a playlist. You can have a look at my playlist on the channel. I think it's called Jaguar S-type V6 playlist, something like that. There's a couple of videos on fixing stuff on this. Speaking of S-types, we have another one here. It's also a 1999. It is a V8 one. It's the one I'm swapping out the engine on. And here is the new engine. It's up in the workshop. If you want to see basically the struggle of getting this thing up in the workshop, if you're a patron, you can check that out over on Patreon. I made a quick little behind the scenes videos. I like to do that whenever I have a chance, just some extra content over there for the patrons. It's just showing some of the small things behind the scenes. So if you're interested in becoming a patron of the channel, seeing some of that, there's a link to that in the description down below, and you can check that out if you want to. So this is a V8, it's a 4-liter one. It's from an XJ8, so I will need to swap over the intake and a few other things to get it to fit in there. Might have to swap out the sump as well. Not completely sure about that. I do have a complete wiring harness for an XJ8, so if someone needs one of these, with all the computer boxes and everything, so if anyone needs that, or if you need throttle bodies or something else from an XJ8 with a 4-liter, let me know. You can send me an email, because I don't think I'll need these parts, and I'll more happy if they go to using someone else's car. I also do have an extra belt housing, if that's something that someone needs. Other than that, lots of small things have actually been happening with this car. I am working on a video on it at the moment. However, the owner of this car contacted me that he was taking out a little bit earlier than I thought. So I stopped working a little bit on this just to fix this up really quickly. But more things have been taken out. One of the next steps is to remove the bonnet. Then I'm going to move the car out into the middle here, get it up on jack stands really high like this one. Get the gearbox out, and then hopefully just lift the engine out, put the other one in, and yeah, I think it will be split up in 2 or 3 different videos because it's quite a lot of hours of filming, but I'm going to try and edit it down so it's not overly long. So if we move around over this way, we just have some random parts stored over there from that car. And then we have the XJS over here, which we can uncover a little bit. It's been sitting here basically since I reorganized all the cars in the workshop, but it's starting to be nice outside. Pretty soon, all of the salt and stuff will be off the road, and then this thing can come out again. It needs to go for an MOT, and I believe there's only one thing that needs to be fixed on this car before the MOT. The pump for the windshield washers is not working. I haven't checked fuses or anything, but when you hit the button there, I don't hear the pump and nothing comes up. But other than that, everything works on this car. And you know, we've done a lot of other things too. It has new coolant hoses, all of that. So it's pretty much ready to go. Let me just get this out of the way. However, there are a couple of small things we're gonna do to it. Oh, I just hit my head over here. Yeah, I forgot that there was this thing right behind me. Anyways, so there's a couple things that we'll need doing to this car after it passes its MOT, which it should, it always does, but I just realized that thing isn't working. However, the convertible top, which is in excellent shape, just like everything else on the car. However, it's a little bit slow when it goes up, and I saw a little bit of wetness on the floor on the other side, so I think there might be an hydraulic leak or something over by the pump. Pump basically sits, it's going to be difficult to show, but you know, there's like a cubby behind there, and over there on the passenger side is that pump. So there's a lot that needs to be taken out of it to get to it. So we're removing all of that, having a look at the pump, also having a look at the hydraulic rams. There's one on each side here. Seeing if there's a leak somewhere there, see if we can get that restored. Because, I mean, it goes down pretty well, and it's worked perfectly in the past. But just the past couple of years, when it goes up, it is a little bit slow, and sometimes you need to help it a little bit the last bit of the way. That's not how it's supposed to be. So we're going to have a look at that. Otherwise, the car just needs, you know, even though it's covered, it's kind of still a little bit filthy from sitting. So it needs a good wash and a polish and a wax. And it's ready for the road. And hopefully some nice driving occasions this year, and hopefully some car shows as well. But we'll see how 2021 turns out. But now let's head on over. I think we'll go and check out the 1966 S-type now. Before we go down to the S-type, we gotta have a look at some of my biggest fans over here. All the chickens. They're enjoying that it's finally nice outside. And since I'm here, they probably think I'm gonna give them food, but I've already given them food, so don't really know what's going on. But let's go down and have a look at the S-type. Alright, not much has been going on here since the last video where we just sort of asked you guys where you wanted me to start off with the restoration. It's still been pretty cold. I mean, it looks nice outside, but it is just 2 degrees above freezing, so it may look nice and warm, but still it's very cold out. So next thing that's going on is basically before any welding can start, I want to fix the ceiling here. We need to have a different material on here. Also going to get some isolation on there to help with the heat in here, because it gets pretty cold down here, and also so that nothing catches fire. The walls are concrete, so that's fine, but we've got to cover all of this in some heat-proof or some heat and fireproof material, just to be on the safe side. But if it starts becoming nicer like this and a little bit warmer, and I can have the doors open like this, I will continue to remove headlights, chrome. We'll continue to basically gut the engine bay as well, as much as I need to, remove things, and then possibly clean all this out a little bit, get some degreaser and some warm water, get rid of most of the dirt in here. And then I think that we're going to start on the mechanicals before we start on any welding. So it'll be either front suspension or rear suspension first, get that out, and then I'll build some kind of cradle to keep the car on, a little dolly or shopping cart wheels, but bigger ones, so that they can move around a little bit in here and possibly get a little bit off the ground as well. But haven't really decided on design of all that yet. Also, I think I'm going to change out the bench in here. It's just extremely temporary. Something that my dad and I just put together the first weekend that I moved into this into the farm here. The reason it's so high up is there's actually two sort of reasons. Because initially I thought I could possibly get two cars in here after each other. I can if a big one and a small one. So the reason it's this high because an XJ6, an XJ12, or an XJS will actually go underneath here if you want to. And that was the idea, to get a second car in here, but it was just pretty much 10 centimeters too short to get an XJS and an XJ12 in here, which are the cars I had, or that we had here on the channel when I moved here. However, I have had two cars in here. I've had the XJS and I believe the BMW Z3 as well in here, so two smaller cars do fit, but this space is just going to be used for metalworking is the idea, and possibly some small painting. So painting things around the engine bay and stuff in here. I think that could work pretty well. But small update on the S-type. Not that much going on at the moment, but this will be a project that will go in waves. I think there will be certain times of the year where I will be able to do more to it, at least until I install heat and stuff in here, because we're a little bit below ground here. Not that much, but just a little bit. And also this side of the building does not get as much sun as the other side of the building, so it is a little bit colder over here. But I think once we get all the isolation in here and stuff, I think I'll be able to put some heat down in here and hopefully get it a little bit warmer at least. But now I think we'll walk over and have a look at some of the cars over in storage. So down in storage here, and here is the daily driver XJ6, which I am still driving now after found that it seems to be running fine at the moment. If you haven't seen the previous video, check that out where I've done some troubleshooting, and this thing is pretty much fine right now. There are a few things I am fixing on it. We're going to fix that little leak over on, I can show you on this side. It's basically this small window here, but on the other side, got a little bit of water that creeps under this bottom rubber here and finds its way into the car. So we're going to fix that. Otherwise, it's actually pretty much, it is actually completely rain and waterproof. It's just that little thing over there. And then, like I announced, there will be an interior video coming up. A little bit of surprise there. It might not be exactly what you think it's going to happen to it, but I think it's going to be really good. Over to the right here, if you're wondering, that is just my wife's horse trailer. We have horses here on the farm, so brought this thing in here just for the moment so it can be out of the elements for a little bit and dry up. And also going to swap out the tires pretty soon for summer tires on it, because even this thing has some studded winter tires on it, but they're really cute little tires and wheels on it. Speaking of tires and wheels, got some big Range Rover wheels over here, which are the old ones, or the ones that the car came with, and they're terribly curved. Haven't decided if we're gonna keep them or if I'm just gonna put out an ad for them and just see what I can get for them and sell them. They're quite heavy and take up quite a lot of space. Usually I put tires up. I have a storage place above where the chickens live where I keep tires, but these are too heavy to get up there. And here are the Daimler wheels just from a couple of weeks ago. I have the rear bumper just resting there gently on the rubber from the XJ12 over there, but those wheels will be, I'm going to go through them, see how much I'm going to clean up with them, or if I'm going to completely restore them. I have not decided yet. They're not curved or anything. They're just, I think they're mostly just really dirty and covered in brake dust, so hopefully I can clean them up a little bit. And this is from all the tests I was doing with the XJ6. And over here, sitting with a lot of space at the moment, is the 1977 XJ12. And yeah, there are some things happening to you at the moment. If you are following the channel for a long time, you might know that these wheels on them, the Kent wheels here, are not the ones that I had on the car before. I have a set of polished Kent wheels from 1977. However, I had a terrible blowout on the highway when I'm on the back, and I was on my way somewhere, and a good friend of the channel had these fitted to one of his cars, but he didn't like them really at the moment, and they had brand new tires on them, so I bought them from him and ran them in here just a couple of times, and now he's actually decided that he wants to use them on a car, so I'm going to sell them back to him. And I have the polished Kents. I'm going to restore them a little bit. They're really nice and shiny and polished, but they need the dark parts painted in here, and they need new tires. So that's going to happen before this thing goes back on the road. Other than that, it is the fuel system I'm going to go through. I picked up all the parts and everything. I'm just going to possibly pick up a new fuel pump while I'm at it, even though the other one is just a couple of years old. But I thought that since those hoses seem to deteriorate a bit, maybe some has gone to the pump. And it is really just, I talked to a friend about this who had some issues with a fuel pump as well on an XJ, that it really is just actually cheaper replacing the pump than the bill to get one of these towed home if your pump fails, because it's starting to get a little bit noisy, the fuel pump. I know the Bosch pumps can be noisy sometimes, even though it's brand new, but I'm going to replace that while I have everything apart, because it's just another, yeah, it's just easier to do that than having to have a breakdown. So that's why we got one cover off over there. I'm going to take off the other cover over here as well. So this will also be a spring project. I think once the S-type V8 is done, that engine swap is done, this is pretty much the next car up to get things worked on and get it MOT'd. And then I think after that it will be the XJS, or pretty much at the same time I think I'll work on them, get them out on the road. And I want to use this thing a lot this summer because it has the best AC out of any of the cars I have. It's already open. You probably know if you watch the channel, it has the Fem air conditioning system, and every part of the AC system is brand new on this car. I had the dash out and everything, and it gets seriously cold in this car. So I will be enjoying that when it gets nice and warm outside. Alright, on to something that we usually don't see here on the channel. We got two covered cars over here. The one over there, we're actually not really going to have a look at. That is just a someone who stores their car here. And yeah, it is a really odd VW, but I haven't asked him about showing the car. But if you're wondering what's in the corner, it is not my car. This is not my car either. However, it is a family member's car. It's actually my mom's car, and she's had it for a very long time, since I was a teenager. So this is actually one of the first cars I drove when I got my license. It is a first year of the BMW Z3. It's a 1996, I believe, and it is in really nice shape for its age. I think I went around and unlocked it. Yeah. And well, everything's super dark on here, but it has a black on black interior. It's all in nice shape. And I was actually planning a small video on this car in the summer when it gets out on the road and it's nice again, because it's just a summer car. Because I think that these are absolutely brilliant cars. I know that we only do British cars here on the channel, but I think this is actually the German version of a British sports car, especially in this configuration with a manual transmission. And this has a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder, so it's not a super quick car, but it's pretty light, and it's sort of like an old school British sports car that it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. It's pretty drafty, but it's a lot of fun to drive. It handles very, very well, and it has a nice little engine in it. So we're going to cover this thing up again. So that is basically the cars down here. Last but not least, here is the current daily driver, the Jaguar XJ40. It's a little bit windy over here, but I want to try out the internal microphone on this thing. I have ordered an adapter to get my external mic on. It just hasn't arrived yet. So if there's some wind noise, I do apologize for that, but this is basically just a test for this new camera. But yeah, it is very, very dirty at the moment, but I think that sometime this weekend, I will sometime this weekend, give this thing a wash when it's, not freezing outside, clean it off. It's just, yeah, they're doing some road work on the roads behind there, so it's just, everything just gets super dirty, which is a little bit of a shame. But pretty soon it will be spring, or fully spring and early summer, and then the cars don't get so dirty over here. Of course, there are things planned. I have covered that in other videos on this, but we'll be replacing the rear lights. We'll be also doing a bunch of stuff on the under the bonnet here. Have a quick look at that. We'll be doing all the hoses because I just did service when I got this, but I still want to do fuel lines, all the coolant hoses, all of that. But that will probably happen when the XJ12 is out on the road as well. So I have that as can drive the XJ6 and the XJ12, then I can put this thing off the road for a while to fix all those things. But at the moment, I'm just really enjoying driving it. It is running, nicely. It doesn't really seem to be having any particular issues at the moment. The only thing, when it's gotten a little bit cold outside and it sits at night, it cranks a little bit longer. Like, it's not very, very long, but it cranks maybe 1 or 2 seconds longer than it does when it's warm outside, or at least 10 degrees outside, above freezing. So I don't think there's any issues. And then once it's warm, it starts instantaneously as always. I'm probably making it sound like it cranks forever, but it cranks for a little bit longer. But I think when I do all the fuel hoses, I'm going to go through and clean the injectors and do all that, because who knows when that has been done. And we're also going to fix up this part of the interior here, make it really nice, and over there as well. But other than that, my daughter seems to be enjoying riding in the car. She thinks it's very cool with the picnic tables here in the back. It's got a new kid seat now, so she's sitting the other way, so she can actually use these if we go somewhere. So I think those would be kind of cool at a car show or something. My wife and I have actually sat back here once and had lunch when we, there was a lot of, we were going to get some takeout, but we thought about sitting at the restaurant, but there was just so many people there, and, COVID and stuff, didn't really want to sit there, so we got it to go. We sat in the back of the Daimler, listened to some music, and that was really nice. So the picnic tables are actually pretty useful. So that is pretty much it, I think, for the Daimler. I'm trying to figure out, headliner as well. That's something I really, really want to do ASAP. So I think when the XJ12 is on the road, again, this thing will take a break, go off the road. And I think I'm going to do a lot of stuff to it. Just fix all those little things that are bothering me and get it looking really nice. But before that, there will be a video fixing those MOT failures. We'll have a look at the bulb failure module. We will... What was the other thing? Well, yeah, steering gator. And, we'll do the rear lights as well. Just because I have some nice ones now. So that will be an upcoming video pretty soon, I think in a week or so, because I have until the 22nd to fix the car, but I do want to fix it before that. So that's something I'm looking forward to if you're looking forward to some XJ40 content on the channel. And one more thing that I've had a few people asking, now that the XJ6 is running again, yes, I will be daily driving that as well. I think I will be switching between these two, so when It is freezing outside. There might be some ice on the road. I am going to drive this one just because I don't want to switch over tires again. That's just a lot of work. So then I'll drive this one with the studded winter tires that were on the XJ6 before. I do have the normal sort of like summer / alt season tires on the XJ6 now, which they do really well, but they don't do well on ice, of course. So when it's nice and dry like today, I'll drive the XJ6. And well, this morning it was freezing, so then I drove this one. So I think I will use both of them in tandem. So you will see a mixture of those two cars on the Daily Driving at Classic weekly episodes. Alright, switch the camera around and tried the mode of why I really got this camera, which is for the selfie screen, so you can sort of walk around the vlog with it. It's not something that I've ever really done before, but I do want to do this sort of at car shows and at other events, and I think it'd be really nice to watch. So it'd be fun to see how all this footage turns out. I hope you guys liked it, even though it's a little bit of, seeing all the cars on the channel. I hope you really enjoy that, even though with a new camera, just trying it out before I do something major with it. But hopefully the footage turned out nice, and hopefully the audio is pretty good as well. Otherwise, in the next couple of days, I will have that adapter so I can hook up an external mic, and I know we can get some good sound. But I hope it was good enough, or at least I'll find out when I go and edit this stuff. Anyways, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. Let me know in the comments down below which car you're looking for the most to seeing here on the channel. And this is basically what's going to happen now in spring, so I hope you guys are excited to see all of it, but let me know what will be your favorite. Also, if you want to support the channel, there is always patreon.com, and I really appreciate all the patrons of the channel for your support. It really means a lot. It's thanks to your support I'm able to upgrade like this and get a more decent camera, or get more cameras to be able to do various camera angles and try different things. Also, if you want to, I do have a store with some merchandise. You can pick up some hoodies like this one. I am working on some new designs which are coming out really soon, and as soon as they're out, I will let you guys know. So anyways, until next time, I'm Adam, and this was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.